All right, boys. Dune is here from Warner Brothers, from Denis Villeneuve, and on HBO Max. We're going to give you the Rotten Tomato score. We're going to give you the IMDb and the audience score, then the synopsis, and then we're diving in. We're getting in. Let's go, Dune. So Rotten Tomatoes currently has us at an 84%. It also has an 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb and a 91% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So here's the synopsis for y'all. Paul Atreides, a brilliant and gifted young man born into a great destiny beyond his understanding, must travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe to ensure the future of his family and his people. As malevolent forces explode into conflict over the planet's exclusive supply of the most precious resource in existence, only those who can conquer their own fear will survive. Okay, there's your synopsis. Boys, this is my most anticipated movie of back 2020, back when we did that top billing draft. It was my most anticipated 2021. So there's a lot of expectations for this movie. Did it live up to the hype? Nez, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it lived up to the hype. I went into this, I didn't know anything about this. I didn't read the book. I don't know the old movie, so I didn't really know anything. But I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw a movie where it really felt like I was transported into like another universe, like another world. Like I felt like I was fully immersed in the world of Dune, and I thought the acting was incredible, but honestly, bigger than anything, like the special effects, the sound design, the score, Hans Zimmer killed it again. Like just give him the award already. Like it was like the sound design on this movie is going to win every single award in every single award show. It just has to. As far as the movie itself, like I really enjoyed it. A very unique story told. Man, it was weird. It was like, it felt kind of Game of Thronesy, but like not at the same, like almost like sci-fi more like, but and less fantasy. But it was really sick, and I thought it was really cool to see maskless Darth Vader make his return to the screen.
Maskless Darth Vader. I think that's a great call. That's a great call. Baron Harkonnen, Stellan Skarsgård, talk about awesome acting performances, who also survives, right? I think we should also say, like, first off, this is going to be a spoiler review. We should make
Okay,
we should. Like, there's so much to talk about. It's been on HBO Max, made 40 million plus at the box office this weekend. I couldn't agree more. It's going to win every single award in terms of special effects, and then maybe plus some, plus some. I freaking love this movie. I saw it once in IMAX. I saw it once on HBO Max the next morning. And right before this pod, I started watching it for the third time. I can't get enough of this world. I really think that we're about to enter this new great sci-fi franchise that's going to be this generation's Star Wars. I don't even think that's an overreaction. I think it's that good. Whoa. Ricky Flicks, what are your thoughts? Wow. What are your expectations going in?
Well, not Star Wars. And I don't agree with that since there's only gonna be 2 movies and spin-off shows, but obviously I had high expectations. In the first anticipated draft, this was my number 1. In the second one, this was my number 2, behind Spider-Man No Way Home. But
what did I draft in those draft guys? Because I feel like I'm missing out.
I remember Tenet. 2020 was like between this and Tenet.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Wow, Tenet, man. Tenet is good, but Dune, I had high expectations, obviously, and you know what? It lived up to the hype. I don't, because Denis Villeneuve, whatever you want to, how you ever want to say it, has such a great array of movies. They're all very serious, great psychological thrillers or action movies. Like, they are phenomenal. So this was like blockbuster-esque, like his like shot at, like, he has this huge cast, huge budget, going off of this, like Dune, like the book has influenced some of the greatest sci-fi movies or franchises ever. George Lucas has said that he was inspired by Dune for Star Wars. That was one of his inspirations. You have the Alien franchise and a bunch of others. I'm not going to go on. So there's high expectations, not just from this podcast, from people that have not seen the Dune original movie and read the book, but also people that have adored the book and original movie. So I think it lived up to the hype. The cast was phenomenal. I thought the performances were great. And I'm ready to get into it here. Again, like, this is spoilers, so I'm ready to get nitty gritty into this.
Okay, so if you're ready to get going, I was going to ask, like, how comfortable were you guys with this material, with the book and everything? I think we've already covered the bases there, where we haven't read the book. We're not that familiar with the story, but we know the inspirations that have.
I wrote a
derived from
blog,
it, right?
I wrote a blog on if I should read the book before seeing this movie.
And did you?
And no, I didn't. At the end of the blog, I spoiler for the blog, I say don't read the book.
Don't read the book.
Because there's going to be two
book.
parts of this movie. So
right, but that's come from someone who's never doesn't.
I think you should read the
book.
book. They say it's like the best sci-fi book of all time.
Yeah, so 60 years in the making, right? I mean, it's made 60 years ago.
60 years ago they made it?
Yeah.
The 60s.
And there's a bunch of sequels that happen. So Ricky Flick saying this franchise is going to be cut off after 2 movies and 2 shows, you're out of your mind.
Well, maybe not 2 shows.
But Ricky Flick's, this movie only explored 2 different planets, three different planets. This world has not even been touched yet. And we're going to get to potential spinoffs or movies. I can list at least 5 on the top of my head now.
For sure.
What they could do.
Spinoffs.
This is going to be huge. And why I said this could be the next Star Wars. This Dune Part 1 to me felt a lot like A New Hope for Star Wars, right? There's a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation. This is supposed to be a new type of movie that has never been seen before on screen. And we're anticipating this to be nominated for some awards. You are. And if we can recall, episode 4, right, A New Hope was nominated for Best Picture. I could see this movie being nominated for Best Picture. The next movie, Denis Villeneuve has said it's going to be a lot more action, similar to the next sequel to Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, which is heralded as the best in the franchise, was not nominated for an Oscar. I could see this next movie being better, yet not being nominated for an Oscar if you smell them cooking.
More action-packed.
I think the opposite.
Whoa. You think less action? Or do you think
no.
Nominated
for Oscars? I feel like this one. All right, let's take a step back here. I didn't know we are going to get into this right away, but I told these boys over the text chain that I was ready for battle for this movie, and I'm battling here. This is a mainstream movie, obviously, and it's not a comic book movie, so you think it has a shot for an Oscar. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's still a huge movie, blockbuster action movie. I know this has a lot of exposition, a lot of setting up for the sequel, but let's look at previous franchises that are similar to this, a la Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, you did not get an Oscar nom for that movie until the last one. Any recognition. Return of the King, you did not
didn't get one?
No, you did not get Best Director or Best Picture noms for those movies. So I don't feel like this one is going to get it for this one. It's going to get it for the next one. That's how I feel. And I feel like a lot of people are going to think this movie, at least from speaking to other people, they feel like this movie dragged a bit, which I disagree with. But they feel like this movie dragged a bit. I feel like it was setting up for the next movie, where the next movie is just gonna run straight sprint through the movie, and it's gonna be amazing. So I think that one has more potential for Oscars, for not just the background Oscars like cinematography, score, visual effects, production, costume designs, but actually like director, best picture, more of a chance. Second movie for me.
So I actually hear what you're saying when it comes to this movie not being nominated for Best Picture, because there is a lot of exposition and world building that's going on in this movie.
World building, yeah.
For Best Director, I could totally see it. I could totally see that him getting a nom for this. I mean, it is just such a well-crafted movie.
It was tough.
Everything is it's amazing. And the world building, they built it very I don't know anything going in, and now I have a very good idea of what's going on in this universe. And also, I mean, just the shots, every single shot, he was like, I'm gonna make this the most epic, cool shot ever. And he just did that with every scene. Everything was just so sick. All the shots in the desert, the freaking giant worms, the shots inside that palace thing, it was beautiful. And the set, the set was amazing. And like I said, I just felt like I was transported to a different universe. And so if there was anything that they were getting, any major nominations that they would get, I would say probably Best Director and possibly maybe Timothée Chalamet.
So we'll talk about acting in a sec, but I want to talk about the Best Director opportunity. Denis Villeneuve is taking on a project that another famous director, well-known director, and a great director, David Lynch, ultimately failed at. He failed at adopting this, such dense material, this large-scale book that he couldn't condense into one movie. Villeneuve had the vision to make it a 2-part movie, and you're right. Every shot here is purposeful. It's gorgeous. It's a lock for best cinematography. I think let's start there. Let's start at cinematography. Did you guys have like favorite shots in the movie? What aspects did you like the most? Did you like being in the siege in the desert? Did you like being in the world of Atreides? Did you like see what the Harkonnens were working with? Ricky Flicks, what drew you a lot? What drew you most, I should say, to the cinematography?
That had to be the sandworms. The sandworms is what everyone was looking for when the trailer first came out, and at the end was the sandworm staring Timothy in the face. Like, that's what everyone was looking for in this movie. And the way they worked it with the sand and throughout the movie in different ways, I thought was very impressive. But just to take a step back with the cinematography here, I know I mentioned this on like a podcast like 20 episodes ago, but just to remind maybe some new listeners here, the cinematographer in this movie is Greg Fraser. He's done Rogue One. He's done Zero Dark 30. He's done this movie. He's done a lot of good work throughout his career. His next movie is the Batman. It's the Batman, people. Get even more hype for this because, wow, he did something amazing. This was a spectacle. There's no doubt this is going to win. Like, put it in the bank. I don't care any comic book movie. This is better. Like, put it in the bank right now. And then his next movie is going to be a comic book movie in the Batman. Got me even more pumped for the Batman. Didn't think that was possible. That's my
This
time.
is the most gorgeous movie I think I've ever seen in my life. Like Lord of the Rings is gorgeous, but I think Dune is even more. It's like the visionary of Denis Villeneuve and Fraser here. Like, I don't think I've seen anything like it. The closest thing is Denis Villeneuve's previous movie, Blade Runner 2049. But I think of other like gorgeous movies, nothing compares or is like this movie. Even Star Wars, it does not compare. Maybe if Star Wars was made in 2021, we would see something like this. But I did get a lot of Rogue One vibes, so it makes sense that Fraser was the guy behind Rogue One. Another beautifully shot movie. So I have 2 thumbs up for the cinematography here, and I can't wait to see what's coming next. Nez, do you have any like favorite shots from the movie?
I don't know. I think I listed a bunch of them really, but I thought actually when they're blowing up like that city, there was one specific shot where like all of these things are coming down and it was so sick. I think that whole scene was shot insanely
The
well.
Harkonnens invading House Atreides.
That might have been the best scene of the movie, best sequence of the movie. That's when the movie was in like first gear, and then it just put the pedal to the metal and just full throttle. It's going to be a full on sprint for the rest of the movie. I loved it.
Absolutely. And then also what goes hand in hand with cinematography usually is the score and then in the sound editing. I thought the sound was great for an IMAX theater that I was in. A couple times I had some Tenet vibes where the sound's kind of booming over some of the dialogue that's going on in the movie, but
Dolby.
But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And I watched it on HBO Max twice times after, right? And so I feel like it really worked. And I love how they have certain scores for characters in this movie. And that reminded me a lot of Star Wars. Like Darth Vader's walking in, you have the Darth Vader theme. Here you have the Bene Gesserit walking in, you have like that Bene Gesserit like theme music that comes like in. It's like a part of this, like if you are adapting a sci-fi franchise, that's something you have to include. And I think it nailed it. It nailed it. The menacing score for the Bene Gesserit was one of my favorite parts of the movie, especially the sound, especially sound-wise.
And Hans Zimmer today confirmed that he will be the guy in Dune 2. So thank God for that. And I think the music after the deaths was honestly the highlight for me.
Wow.
Just the it was incredible. I was a big fan of Hans Zimmer in this. Like, put him as a lock, as at least a nom here. I know we have a lot of great movies coming out the rest of the year, but probably gonna win.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the story here, because we've talked about the cinematography, we've talked about Oscar noms. What are some of the things that you thought about the characters and the direction that the story is kind of going? I
like what I saw. I didn't know anything about the book going in, but it had these like themes of colonialism, imperialism, like this value of resources being taken from a territory. I'm a history teacher, so I'm super into like what's going on there. Like, that's what I'm teaching. Especially with these like impoverished countries or like peoples that are having things taken away from them for another group's benefit. I love that aspect, and it's something that like gets lost, I think, in such a visual spectacle. And I can't wait to see Paul Atreides, someone who's coming from this like higher class, right? He's like House Atreides. This is like the rival house to the Emperor, right? So they think that he like the idea of him associating and then making an alliance like his dad always wanted him to in their house to with the what are they called, the Yerman, right? Fremen, excuse me, Fremen. So like making Fremen. Okay, making a
lot of weird names in this.
It has.
Like, but the main character's name is Paul.
Possibilities. It has Paul. It has unlimited possibilities of like what could happen afterwards. Yes, you're going to get this major battle, but what other type of worlds are going to collide? What other types of people will collide in this final battle that almost feels like it's going to be like a Return of the King vibes, like final, like almost like anticipation.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's what is supposed to happen. My roommate's read the book, so he kind of told me that there's going to be, perhaps, spoiler alert, skip this, but there's probably going to be a huge battle in the next movie.
It's in his vision.
So that's true as well. One thing that I wanted to mention that I already forgot that I wanted to mention. Hold on, just give me one.
It'll come.
Should I go while you wait, or we?
Yeah, you go.
I thought the story itself was very good. I thought the implications, politics, like similar to Game of Thrones, the action, all very good. I also want to say, I thought it was impressive that the plot lines were so clear and all the political disarray and going on behind the scenes of House of Atreides. Like, obviously you're following Timothée Chalamet and Oscar Isaac, why they're going to the desert, but behind the scenes with the Harkonnens and
Bene Gesserits.
The Gesserits, thank you. The Gesserits, and they're kind of like the behind the scenes, like Jedis, basically, like in Star Wars, if you want to do an analogy there, like the Jedis behind these empires, and then the Harkonnens and everything going on, the Fremen. I think they did a very good job making it clear plot lines throughout, even though it could have easily fell apart. So I think they did a very good job of that. That's why, like, again, I'm giving this movie credit compared to the original Dune, which I haven't seen. But what people always say is that they try to cram in this huge universe into one movie, where here we're just setting up basically the next movie, which is also a fault in its own. But then again, I love this movie still and really like the story in it.
That seems to be the main detraction from this movie. If you look at reviews, if you look at online, they think it's too slow in the beginning. I think it was necessary, to be honest.
Definitely.
You have to explain these characters, their people, this world, how they interact, all right, and the importance of certain resources and planets. And I think it was masterfully done because, right, you can lean on great acting. This cast is unbelievable. Great cinematography and a great score. So you're never bored by it, because I think the pacing was actually pretty good too. But Ricky Flicks is exactly right? They laid everything out in front of you. It was easy to understand. As I watch it for the second and third time, I'm like, dude, I think I know this. Like, I know this universe like the back of my hand. I really think I do. Like, you can ask me any question. I think I can nail it now.
Yeah. I just find that, like, people that are saying that it's slow in the first act, like, okay, fine. But I just don't think it's as bad as what people are saying. I think it incorporated the necessary exposition points, the necessary introductory plot points, but in each in an intriguing way. Like the voice, the Jedi basically mind trick voice, right? They did that in an intriguing way with Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson. And you said with the great acting, Oscar Isaac being a believable dad figure, younger dad figure. And you have Josh Brolin, his introduction and the fight scene, introduction to the hand-to-hand combats and the shields with Timothée Chalamet, Jason Momoa. It's like not a comic relief, but a lightheartedness to the movie that you don't usually see in Denis Villeneuve's movies. You don't really get a lightheartedness character like that. So that was interesting to see. So that's like basically the first act and then there obviously the shift to Akaris, like the desert power, right? So I thought I did an effective job of being intriguing throughout the first act, the exposition basically, and not boring, at least in my eyes.
Nailed it.
Yeah. I wish we had a little bit more Oscar Isaac in this movie. Obviously, you had to tell the story, but first of all, I mean, top 5 beard I've seen this year, I'd say.
Incredible.
That beard is absolutely amazing, and his character was great. I don't know. I thought he was like actually a very honorable guy. He's not what you're used to when it comes to, highborn, like rich people in these movies and shows. So I thought that was very refreshing. I also almost lost it when he was talking about growing up, and he was like, I always wanted to be a pilot. And I'm just like,
Yes.
Oh,
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. That's definitely a call right there. That was a call back a little bit.
I mean, it had, right? I don't know.
It had to be. And you guys brought up the beard. I was thinking of like Halloween costumes this year, and I like have this massive beard in my hair right now. I was just like, okay, I was gonna be Jon Snow again. I might have to be Duke Leto Atreides. I just might have to send it and be him. I just got to get that armor suit, dude. We got to get that armor suit.
I brought this up to my girlfriend. I was like, I want to be a character in Dune. I want one of these suits. But like she was like, oh, no one would like know who you are. I think enough people have seen this movie. Over 2 million people in households and HBO Max subscribers, 220 million worldwide. I know only 40 million, or not only, but 40 million domestically. I think people would know, like with the nose thing, that would be a good Halloween costume.
Oh yeah, it like there's gonna be some like less known costumes at the party. You're not gonna be the less known.
If people don't know, like haven't seen the movie, that's one thing. But like they had to have seen a commercial, yeah, or still, yeah, it's everywhere. The advertising's been everywhere.
Exactly,
so, yeah, for sure.
And then like you brought up Oscar Isaac. I thought he was phenomenal in this movie. And I think a detraction I have for this movie is that we didn't get enough love for a lot of these characters, a lot of these great actors. But I kind of wanted to dive in and see who were some of your favorites and what does the future hold for them. So Ricky Flex, who's your favorite character from Dune?
So I'll go off the beaten path here just to keep things interesting. I'll go Stellan Skarsgård.
Ooh, he was awesome.
I think he was great. I think he was menacing. He's like, what do we do with the Fremen? Kill them all, as he goes back into the ink or oil or whatever the heck that was that he's healing.
And menacing. And
he's like floating to Oscar Isaac across the table, and his gut is like just bursting out. And and also he
does not care.
And then finally, I thought he had a lot of like Apocalypse Now vibes, like Marlon Brando character, and that definitely a lot of those vibes. And that Marlon Brando's phenomenal in that, and I felt that same energy coming from Stellan Skarsgård. So I think I'll go off the beaten path and say him for now.
Baron Harkonnen, dude. I like that pick. I think that he should have been drafted in our underrated draft. I think he's an awesome villain. I really love him, especially in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I think he's incredible in that scene with Daniel Craig. He's awesome in Chernobyl. That's definitely off the beaten path based on some of the other characters here. But and he lives to go into part 2.
And real quick, when he said, speaking of just funny moments in the movie, he like the first time he ever floats and you realize he could float, he goes, Akaris is my Dune. Leo meme, Once Upon a Time, like pointing at the team at the my Dune.
Oh yeah, when they say the name of the movie in the movie.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
I tried to make that a TikTok for the Drive-In podcast. Whenever they say the title of a movie in the movie, I go, and then it got a lot of like love/hate on TikTok. It was a controversial pick. They're like, this is so bad, it's good.
Yeah.
But Nez, which characters did you dig during Dune?
I like Josh Brolin's character. I also liked the Fremen woman who was I can't remember her official title or position, but she's the one that called the giant worm at the end.
She's the ecologist for the Imperium.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Sharon Duncan Brewster, I think is her actress name.
Yeah, so I thought she was good. Like I didn't like her at first, but then like she grew on me, and obviously her ending was like pretty epic. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like Momoa's character, but like he just I maybe dies in the books, but he just did not have to die there. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Just walk out the side thing. Are you serious?
I agree, but they were cutting through like the door. They were cutting through the door. He had to hold him off.
Oh, the door.
Right, because he technically gets stabbed in like the stomach, and then they're still about to cut through the door. He gets up again, and then he hacks him to death.
Yeah, but he fights them for like 5 minutes, and they all just stand there. Just leave.
Right.
There's a secret door.
Ricky Flex, you brought up the Hodor vibes, very much Hodor vibes, I would say. Like that was like, I got chills during that scene when like the score hit, he locked the door and then the door was like, the door's locked. And then he just goes like here, up the forehead. Okay, let's go. And he was honestly the scene stealer of the movie. Like Duncan, Idaho.
He was great.
And he is a
great
spinoff
name.
I want to see.
Great name. Duncan,
Idaho. That's an action hero. You feel like he should be in Indiana Jones or something, you know?
Yes.
Idaho, Indiana. I know it's just somehow you can find a way to like split the two, but he was great. Timothy Chalamet was a beast. He was a beast.
Yeah, I thought he was really great. As
So
much
like
he's a guy I love to hate.
Dude,
but
yeah,
do you?
I think a lot of people
did a great job.
But all right, well, this is a good question here. I found this out right before we started recording. Do you know how old Paul is supposed to be in this
15.
movie? He's supposed to be 15 years old.
Oh wow.
So like no wonder in like the first act of the movie, like Timothy Chalamet is like, you know, running up to people, hugging them, acting all childish. He's 15 years old. Like,
Jeez.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the movie, he like finally realizes his powers and he's like, I am Paul Atreides. Like I am the future and the present, and I'm the one.
Right.
Like,
Nice.
And so I really dug the ending. Before we go into like that aspect with Zendaya, who I want to talk about, like Timothy Chalamet has never dove into this like action realm before. Like he's always this dramatic actor, this one that is known like, yes, he could be the next Leo, and he has those type of expectations set upon him. But I thought he murdered it in the action scenes too. The combat, the hand to hand, he really worked at it. You could tell. And so I like we just had that story that came on social media a couple days ago where someone told him never do a superhero movie. This is the closest he's ever going to get to be doing a superhero movie. And this is such a sci-fi. It seems like almost like an epic, almost like a classic that's about to that's unfolding in front of our eyes. So I was just excited to see him in this different type of perspective where we're not used to seeing him and trying to prove the haters wrong a bit.
I thought the hand-to-hand combat scenes were insane. I thought they're incredible. I was incredibly impressed. I was more impressed with the hand-to-hand combat scenes in this than Shang-Chi.
Wow.
Because I was kind of expecting it in Shang-Chi with the martial arts. This one, I was not expecting it to be that good.
I love the scene with Josh Brolin, and Josh Brolin, I think low-key was my favorite character with Gurney. First of all, you don't see him die, probably make an appearance in the second movie.
Exactly.
So, but the part where he makes the speech and he takes on Chalamet, takes on Paul Atreides, and then he goes and he's talking about the Harkonnen, and he's overacting out of his butt, where he's like, the Harkonnen, they're brutal. And he's just going nuts. I just love that about Brolin. He's serious all the time. And you can tell even from like the I am smiling scene. Like he just never will drop character. Yeah. I love it. You didn't like it?
I didn't like that scene.
Overacting. He's overacting, but I love it.
And that was bad, right? I didn't like that like screenwriting aspect of that little dialogue there. Unneeded.
Yeah. Let's talk about Zendaya, because Zendaya was used for a lot of the promotion of this movie. She was. And she's obviously probably the biggest star alongside Chalamet from this project. Were you guys disappointed by her screen time in this movie, or were you comfortable knowing what's coming in part two, Nez?
I'm completely comfortable knowing that there's another movie. I kind of felt like that was going to be the case once I started. You only saw her in visions. I was like, okay, well, this woman is not going to appear in this movie till very late.
Yeah, you definitely got those vibes, and it's come out that I think Denis Villeneuve has even said like she's gonna be one of, if not the main character in the second movie. Like she's gonna be a prominent character. So I really was okay with her just in the flash forward, flashback, whatever you want to call it, sequences, which I did not like personally. It was like kind of just there for you to distract you, see like you don't know what's going on, you can't predict what's going to happen really, which I don't mind, but I just didn't like them. I thought it was just a bunch of wasted time, but whatever.
I like how it's like, it almost felt like I didn't like this movie, but it felt like Bandersnatch, Black Mirror Bandersnatch, where it's like pick your own destiny, like what's gonna happen. You know, I like how it's keeping you on your toes. Like this might be a possibility. This is a possibility, but it's also another opportunity. You get to see your favorite characters. Like after Duncan Idaho's death, you get to see Duncan Idaho in these like flash forwards, right? That okay, this could have happened, you know. But I think she had an awesome narrating voice. So beautiful, so pure, over the desert. What a way to start the movie. I think I was just stoked that we got her voice in the beginning, because I think even before we saw this movie, that's when the news came out. Like, she'll have a more prominent role in the second one. But I don't want to divert too much from Paul's story, because I'm so locked in after the end of this film. All right. So I guess where we should kind of wrap up here, any spin-off ideas you guys have, or any expectations for part 2? Like, what do you want to see most from this expanding universe?
I want to see a big old fight with a lot of swords and crazy cinematography, maximalist. I mean, that's what this movie was maximalist, but like maximalist, giant, huge Return of the King battle of the bastards-esque.
Love it. Flex, what do you want to say?
Well, it's been confirmed that this is like DUNE, the sisterhood, or the Gesserit, Bean Gesserit, whatever you want to say. Bene Gesserit. They're going to have their own spin-off series on HBO Max, and I think Rebecca Ferguson is going to be in that, and Denis Villeneuve is going to direct the first episode. I think that's big, and like we mentioned, like they're kind of like the Jedis of this universe. So I think that's very interesting. And someone that we haven't mentioned was the Bene Gesserit herself, who's also the High Priestess in Game of Thrones. Like,
oh, right.
We haven't mentioned her yet. I thought she was great in her one scene, but very memorable scene with the pain box. But besides that, like, I think a big obvious one would be Fremen versus Harkin, and throughout those 80 years. The Fremen, like their underworld society, riding those sandworms, and then you got the Harkonnen just dominating in the above ground world. So we'd love to see that relationship and that spinoff, if somehow that could happen.
I'm down for both of your ideas. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But what I also want to see is the Emperor. We haven't seen the Emperor, the one that is calling on, right, the House Atreides to take on Akaris, right? Akaris, did I pronounce that right? Is that right? I keep confusing.
You got it.
Yeah.
But having this Emperor show up, I'm interested who they're going to cast. And then also from the initial DUNE movie back in 1984, the Bene Gesserit end up developing this new chosen one because they don't approve of Paul Atreides. And who is that character in 1984's DUNE? It's played by Sting. So I'm looking to see who's going to be a character. That's hilarious. But who's going to be that character to rival Charlemage? Can you imagine if they cast like a Tom Holland as that character to go against like a Timothée Chalamet? Can you imagine that? Take that idea, Denis Villeneuve. Take that idea.
Wait, so you think, okay, well, now I'm kind of looking really ahead at the end of DUNE 2. So we're thinking if Paul's the one, right? Or like a Jesus Christ figure, you don't think he dies in the second one?
I don't know. I don't know. I think Chalamet would want to be honest, based on like the stories we've heard
not
about
being
him
tied
and his
down
film
to
career,
a
not being
franchise.
tied down. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Agreed. But I think that'd be cool if you had like a young actor on the same level of a Chalamet, kind of like rise up, be the chosen one, almost definitely a villainous type role for the Bene Gesserit. But I also wanted to see in a prequel type of spinoff, I want to see how House Atreides gained so much power within the Empire, their rise, because I get a lot of like House Stark vibes from Oscar Isaac's character, Duke Leto. So I want to see, like, there's so many different aspects you can explore. It's crazy. I want to see a Duncan Idaho spit off too. Like, what was he doing on Akaris while he was there for that 1 month, right? Where he almost battled and found his death. Remember that scene that came out of nowhere? So we didn't get to actually see that. There's so many different avenues, like the Harkonnen, what they were doing on Akaris for 80 years. There's so many different places to go. And there's so many sequels to this book. They can either follow the books or even divert a different direction.
I again, going off of my earlier acknowledgement with the Fremen versus the Harkonnen, Javier Bardem in this movie, beast, like absolute beast, like the leader of the Fremen that you see here. He was awesome. I think, like, obviously you remember the scene with the spitting intro, another little comic happened in this movie, little comedy in this movie, but that you don't usually see in Denis Villeneuve movies. And again, like, you know who also helped write this movie with Denis was Eric Roth.
I didn't know that.
Forrest Gump, like Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close. There's a lot of comedic aspects of those movies. Also going to be adapting Killers of the Flower Moon with Martin Scorsese later next year. But going back to this movie, like probably those comedic elements probably came a lot from him. Cannot be from Denny. Just cannot. If you look back in his career so far, just very serious, disturbing movies. So you definitely got a lot of that in this movie, in this movie as well. So I just wanted to mention that.
Interessante. Hey, let's hop into some scores. What do you boys say? Nez, hit it.
I'm going with an 89. I thought it was a beautiful movie. The cinematography was amazing. The acting was incredible. Just everything about this movie was great, top to bottom. I just think, I don't think it was necessarily slow, but it wasn't, there's not much they could have done, but the story itself wasn't as compelling as it's about to be. I mean, it really came to a head at the end. I thought it was just all in all just a great movie, but I'm 89 is a really good score, so I don't know why I'm like trying to justify it, but I'm just saying, like, I think the next one's I'm gonna give a little bit of a better score because there's gonna be more to kind of pull from. There was a lot of world building, but it was beautifully done. Great story, well told, beautiful cinematography, sound design, costume design, acting, everything top to bottom. So 89 is my score.
Flickstar.
90. I'm very similar. 90. I walked out of the theater thinking 88, rewatched it on a TV, and I just liked it even more. I think, like we mentioned before, I think the story is well put together. I think they just kept the plot lines were simple yet compelling and interesting, and not necessarily simple, but they made them to us simple. So I think that was very impressive. Huge cast, huge effects, visuals, everything you want, whatever you want to say. Very good directing. We said it through this review. So 90 for me.
Not a lot of flaws in this movie, boys. I'm going with a 93. I'm going with a 93. One of the highest scores for any movie I've given this year. I think of Minari, I gave a 94, but 93 I think is right up there. So that's going to do it for our review of Dune. Make sure you check it out in theaters and on HBO Max. Next week, we will be reviewing Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch and Edgar Wright's Nez's Boy, The Last Night in Soho.
That movie's going to be awesome.
It's going to be sick. So that does it for our review of Dune.